We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessing of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. These are the words that embody the soul of our Constitution, the Philippine Constitution. The preamble is more than just a set of ideals strung together without rhyme or reason. It establishes the foundation of what we hold as immutable truths and guides us as one nation seeking to understand right from wrong. It underlies our very democracy and the freedoms that spring from it. The preamble of the Philippine Constitution articulates a vision of a God-fearing and democratic Filipino people, so that when we are in doubt, pag may duda po tayo, as to the kind of society we are committed to, kung anong klaseng lipunan po ang ating pong pinagdadasal at hinahangad, and as to what government has been established for. Pag nag-iisip tayo, para saan ba na meron tayong gobyerno? We can simply go back to the preamble and reconnect with our core. It is a touchstone of those beliefs and values that breathe life into our democracy, remind us of our unique Filipino identity, and helps us define who we are as a people. Again, in case of doubt, when we are adrift in troubled waters, the preamble is the lighthouse, shining a path to safe harbor. Isang gabay, hindi lamang sa uri ng ating lipunan at gobyerno, isang gabay kung ano ang tama at anong mali. Filipinos believe in democracy, but we are also mature enough to accept that democracy is not perfect. Yet, despite its imperfections, we hold that the democratic ideal of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people remains the best system in the world. At a time where so much of what we thought was permanent has been shown to be mere illusions that can be washed away in an instant, the words of the preamble provides a comfort to our people, as it speaks of a vision of the Philippines that is built on equality among its citizens and an abiding trust in the democratic institutions that are meant to protect and promote our well-being. In crucial times, I constantly look to these words that articulate our common vision. As I ponder on the matters that are laid before the House of the People, I do not speak merely about the franchise application of one network, but rather of the bigger picture that it represents. There's no doubt, mga kababayan, this franchise issue has a bigger picture and is more than just simply giving a franchise to a private corporation. For there is a bigger picture, one that spreads far beyond the business interest of one family and the concerns of one corporation. If perhaps we had to go through this process without the shadow of this pandemic looming large in our collective futures, then it is likely that many of these issues we had to discuss these past days would have a different weight and bearing. Maaring instead of 12 hearings, baka 25 hearings ito. Ngunit, but as we cannot change the circumstances that we find ourselves in, so we do it with as best we can, with the resources that we have and the time that we have on hand. Taken against the massive loss of lives and livelihood brought about COVID-19, the issue of this franchise pales into nothingness. As I have said in the past, we cannot possibly measure the fate of one corporation against the millions of our kababayans in the Philippines that are all around the world who are now in economic and public health limbo. During these past months, as the whole world struggled to cope with the effects of the virus and the entire nation convulsed with the disruption of our lives brought about by the quarantine, Congress has not been idle. Nagtatrabaho po ang Kongreso. To To our critics, yes, we may disagree on many things, yet it is not only unproductive, it is irresponsible, and it is irresponsibly detrimental to our collective efforts to defeat COVID-19 when we give a public and false impression that we in the House of the People have not been focused during this crisis or are somehow not in touch with what was happening on the ground. Nung hindi namin tinitake up ang ABS-CBN, sabi ng pangalawang Pangulo, i-take up nyo kaagad. Ngayon na nagtinitake up natin, marami daw mas importante. Yes, as we required of us and despite valid reservation, we have tackled the contentious matter of the franchise application of ABS-CBN. But away from the public limelight and media scrutiny, we have also prioritized the needs of our citizens in response to the current crisis. Aside from Republic Act 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, that provided more than 200 billion pesos for the government social amelioration program and more than 100 billion more for response, including for our frontliners and for PPEs. This also includes, among other, the passage on second and third reading of House Bill 6817, an act that penalizes the discrimination of people afflicted and suspected to be positive with COVID-19. House Bill 6953, or the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, which focuses on the response and recovery interventions of COVID-19 pandemic, which we expect to be tackled in a special session soon. House Bill 6815, the Arise or Accelerated Recovery and Investment Stimulus for the Economy of the Philippines Act, a stimulus package with an appropriated amount of 1.3 billion, which we are looking for. Dahil sabi po ng Finance Department, we don't have that money. So congressmen and women are working hard looking for this money that provides for programs and policies to promote growth and sustainable development in response to the economic loss in the country from COVID-19 pandemic. House Bill 6864, or the Better Normal for the Workplace, Communities and Public Spaces Act, that establishes practices that should be observed by Filipinos for the duration of the pandemic. House Bill 6920, the Cures or COVID-19 Unemployment Reduction Economic Stimulus Act, that establishes a special fund with an appropriated amount, a few billion pesos, that shall be disbursed primarily for the implementation of infrastructure projects across this priority area. Sorry, I think to the trillions of pesos, no? Health, education, agriculture, local infrastructure, livelihood. Or yung sinasabi po natin na agriculture and tourism-related infrastructure. As well as 10 other bills pending and resolutions specifically for the purpose of helping our frontliners. We have held investigations in aid of legislations and inquiries to the Meralco billing of our electricity consumption. We have heard the DSWD on the 4Ps, the social amelioration. We have heard the different departments involved in the repatriation and reintegration of our OFWs. So hindi po natutulog sa pansitan ang Kongreso. I say this for the benefit of our Vice President, who, despite appearing to be clueless as to the real work of this Congress, has done nonetheless feels it's her duty to instruct this House on how it should conduct its business. Ginagawa po namin trabaho namin, hindi lang po nalalive sa TV, lahat ng aming mga hearings. I have directed our Press and Public Affairs Bureau to provide the Office of the Vice President or the Office of Vice President Robredo with the pertinent bills for her future press statements. And so there is hope. There is a light at the end of this particular long and dark tunnel. And no, it is not the light coming from an oncoming train. Rather, it is genuinely the rays of a new dawn. This is the hope that springs from the ideals set forth in the preamble, one that cannot be extinguished by famine, war, pestilence, nor perish in even the most toxic political climate or the deadliest pandemic. Before we even started with these hearings, I, with many of our colleagues, had already expressed our apprehension that the divisiveness that comes with this franchise issue may be too heavy a burden for our already overtaxed political balance to bear. Sadly, I note that my fears to some extent have been realized. Instead of being a process of understanding and healing, the take no prisoners, give no quarters attitude of extremists on both sides of the question, lalo po sa social media, have only served to widen the gaps between our people. And as we draw the hearings to a conclusion, we are nowhere near to resolving the political divide. Yes, malapit na po tayo from deciding and solving this issue, pero po kailangan din pansinin ng Kongreso yung pagkawatak-watak ng mga kapwa Pilipino. But we must do so. Our survival depends on it. We cannot continue on as we have in the past. The destructive swat left by the virus on our lives had made sure that there's no going back to how we lived once before. No, yung old normal, wala na po yun. We're looking for a new normal, a better normal. Pero let's not kid ourselves na yung dati nating alam na buhay ay mababalikan basta-basta. We can only move forward, whether it is dealing with COVID-19 or dealing with the ABS-CBN franchise application. As a people and as a nation, we find ourselves at a crossroads. A crossroad where we actually do agree on many things. Yet, ironically, we remain in disagreement on how to deal with the vital decisions that we have agreed upon. Just a few minutes ago, you heard Chairman Mike Defensor and you heard our Deputy Minority Leader argue on certain things. But actually, they are in agreement about the dangers of oligarchy in our country. So meron po talagang agreement, pero meron po talagang disagreement. Example po, we all agree that we have to get rid of illegal drugs and narcotics. But we disagree how. We all agree that crime is a problem and that must be addressed immediately. Lalo po pag nakita natin mga karumal-dumal na krimen na napapanood po natin na nangyayari halos araw-araw. But we disagree on the solution. We all agree that we have to deal decisively with terrorism. But we disagree on the methods. We all agree on the freedom of the press must be protected. But as these hearings have shown, we disagree from whom and how. We will all agree on the basic premise that big business, conjoined with commercial media, should not be allowed to engage in partisan politics by wielding its power to protect their interests, meddle and interfere in elections, and surreptitiously support certain candidates in the guise of reporting the news. Ulitin ko po siguro agree po tayong lahat na ang malalaking negosyo, lalo po kung sila po ay powerhouse sa media, hindi dapat makialam sa eleksyon para protektahan ang kanilang kandidato o itaguyod ang kandidato para maprotektahan ang kanilang interes. Sa hearing na to, walang sino man po sa pro o anti ang nagsabing okay yan. Ang naging usapan, kung ginagawa ba yan o hindi ng ABS-CBN at ng pamilyang nagmamay-ari nito or Lopez family. So we agree on the premise, but we disagree on many other things. We will agree on how we must deal with not just the particular franchise of ABS, but on the larger issue of big business and media's partisanship in our electoral process. Yes, we agree na dapat gawin ang tama, labanan ang mali. Ngunit sa issue na to, sino ang tama, sino mali. I have often compared, just like Deputy Speaker Marcoleta and other of our colleagues have compared the news between Channel 2 and Channel 7. The news between certain newspapers. And without casting judgment at this point in time, malinaw naman pagka yung isang network katulad ng GMA7 po, no? May negative din naman po. Binibira din naman po tayo o ilan po sa atin. Pero bakit hindi po ina-accuse ng bias? Kasi po walang negosyong hiwalay na prinoprotektahan. So bantay na bantay yung newscast sa kanilang kahalagahan na maging objektibo. No? Hindi ko sinasabi na lahat ng mga may negosyo ginagamit yung kanilang media arm para protektahan ang kanilang negosyo. Ang sinasabi ko lang, we know that there is an evil wherein you put the two together. In the same manner that if I am a public servant but I am also an elected official, making me a politician, if I own the largest network in the country, napaka-hipokrito naman natin kung sasabihin hindi nagagamit ni Alan yan para itaguyod ang kanyang kandidatura. That's why we should also keep media away from the hands of politicians, but also from the hands of big business. As to the matter at hand, I firmly believe that knowing right from wrong and acting according to the benefit of the public good is what holds our society together. That is our social contract, that those who have will always look out for those who have not. It is what defines and strengthens our democracy, and at times like this, it may be the only protection that the least of our brethren will have against the uncertainty of the future. Which is why society finds it so intolerable, so despicable, when someone influential and powerful, whether he or she is a politician, a businessman, a media personality, or anyone in the position of privilege, abuses the very system meant to protect the people. It is the ultimate injustice and the betrayal, pagtatraidor, o yung bantay sa lakay, when our protectors turn out to be our biggest tormentors. Kaya nga po sumikat din po ang news ng lahat ng ating channel, lalo po ABS-CBN at saka GMA7 at yung iba, dahil po sila ang bantay sa mga abusado sa ating lipunan. When we started this hearing, we listened to the owners and officers of ABS-CBN admit that they were not perfect, and I welcome this. We were hopeful then that this admission would pave the way for a redemptive process. Isang proseso kung saan pinapakita yung mali at paano itatama yung mali. One that would help the nation heal from the divisive nature of this issue. We have had lengthy discussions during these hearings on who and what is right or wrong, what is legal, what is moral, what is illegal, what is legal but against public policy, for example. But given more time, I would have wanted the proceedings go to the deeper into the roots of these principles and pierce the corporate veil to see into the historical and factual context of these issues being discussed. It is my hope that in the future, we can pursue this matter further to prevent the abuse of the system. Baka po yung Blue Ribbon Committee na pinangungunahan po ni Congressman Chairperson Alvarado po ang tamang o akmang committee po na mag-handle dito. President Franklin D. Roosevelt said, "The liberty of a democracy is not safe if the people tolerated the growth of private power to a point where it becomes stronger than the democratic state itself. That, in its essence, is fascism, ownership of government by individual, by a group, or any controlling private power." I agree po with this statement. Pag naging masyadong makapangyarihan po ang isang pribadong korporasyon o isa pong mayaman o makapangyarihan sa ating bansa na parang siya na may-ari ng gobyerno, it is even a bigger threat to our democracy. The time has come for us to make a decision that would hinge on facts, public policy, and existing law, just opposed to issues that go to the core of our democracy. How shall we decide on the claims that it will be a blow to press freedom if the owners of a private media corporation is denied the privilege of using public airwaves for private business that protects their interests and supports their handpicked candidates while targeting those who oppose them? I submit that this is not press freedom. It is the theft of government from the people while hiding under the pretense of press freedom. So this is what we will have to decide. Totoo bang may isang korporasyon na prinoprotekta ng interes at ginagamit ang media para sabihin press freedom? Or totoo bang may mga nagagalit lang dahil tinatamaan sa news nila at objektibo po sila? The use of media for propaganda is not a new concept. I think since na-imbento ang news or even before that, meron ng propaganda. We were victims of it during the years of the dictatorship, and it has left deep scars of distrust in our views of relationship between government and media industry. Kahit yung panahon po nung Hapon, o kahit na po nung niliberate tayo ng Amerikano, pero inassimilate po tayo, marami pong news doon na propaganda. But even as we guard against the abuse of public officials and the peculiar and sacred place that free press holds in our consciousness, blinds us to the fact that big business is just as likely to use media to mold public opinion and perception as the meanest tyrant. So wag po tayo pumayag na maging diktatorial ang kahit sinong gobyerno sa Pilipinas. Huwag tayong pumayag na ang politiko ay didikta sa media. Pero ganun din po yun kung big business ang didikta sa ating media. These hearings, despite the unfair and unwarranted attacks it has elicited from both from the supporters and haters of ABS-CBN, has afforded the nation with a rare glimpse on the fragility of our democracy, on how the very pillars that we thought were holding it up were merely facades that hid the ugly, selfish side of the political system, an elitist system that sadly still favors and protects those whose days are spent behind gated subdivisions, while casting to the wind those Filipinos who have to scourge for the very walls that make up their homes. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, we are reminded that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build. And in every time and in every season, whatever the Lord sees fit to give, we have to trust in His wisdom. He will make the fullest of it. So tayo din po, kung ano man ang payagan ng Panginoon na season, we have to make sure we make the fullest of it. So we will have to make this hard decision. So let us make sure that this decision counts and will put the Philippines on the right path towards strengthening us as a democratic country that cares for our people. And so whatever the outcome of these hearings, I am satisfied that we have heard and what we have heard that can be the basis of a legally and morally sound decision. Whether Congress grants the ABS-CBN or the Lopezes another 25-year franchise or denies the application. Now, as we await the final decision, I would respectfully ask all parties to refrain from making speculation. Wala pong mangyayari po kung magsisiraan po tayo or may fake news or worse, resorting to lies and false information that can only muddle the issue. Believe me, nothing will come out of it except maybe more grief for your cause, as no member of Congress wants to be manipulated. The media doesn't want to be manipulated. Businessmen and women don't want to be manipulated. But kami dito sa Congress, ayaw din po namin na kami ay ma-manipulate. Despite everything that has been said and done, I am hopeful that we'll be able to rise above our partisan sentiments for the good of the nation and strengthening of our democracy. I would like to urge my colleagues in the House to put the same energy, the same dedication in addressing the continuing needs of the people as a result of COVID-19. Actually po, mas malakas pa energy natin anti-COVID-19. Hindi lang kasi live ang bawat hearing compared dito sa hearing ng ABS-CBN. As we look for ways to solve the big problems of our economy, let us not forget to devote equal time to finding solutions to the day-to-day problems facing those whose livelihood have been adversely affected. Mga barbero, mga massage therapist, maliliit na kalenderya, mga may stalls sa mga iba't ibang mga mall, mga taxi, jeepney, tricycle drivers, and both the performing and creative artists, entertainers, singers, dancers, actors and actresses, the entire creative industry, no? Not just those belonging to ABS-CBN. They are very hard hit by this pandemic. But it is them who bring color, light, and happiness to our lives. Huwag natin i-underestimate o langin, di ba, ang entertainment at yung kasiyahan na dinadala sa atin. Kaya nga maraming may mental health problem sa lungkot. No? At ito pong mga artista, ating pong OPM, ating pong mga creative artists, performing artists, ang ating nasa advertising industry, yung pong mga nasa event industry, no? Sila po nagbibigay ng kulay sa atin buhay. So, over and above this ABS-CBN issue, let's do more to show them that we are here for them and we're also preparing for a new normal for them. I thank the leadership and members of the Committee on Legislative Franchise and the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, Chairperson Alvarez, Chairperson Alvarado, maraming salamat sa inyong dalawa. Sa lahat po ng membro ng committee, sa lahat po ng authors, sa lahat po na nagsalita, sa lahat po ng resource persons, including din po ang ABS-CBN management, at lalo po dun sa mga resource persons na medyo mahirap at masakit na magsalita, pero ginawa pa rin nila ang kanilang magagawa. So lastly, may I appeal to every member of Congress and to the people they represent. Makinig po tayo. Let's listen to the summations that are coming today. Yung pong magsasalita na isa-sum up po niya ang kanyang pagkaintindi at mga i-highlight na punto sa 12 hearing. Let's review important points. Nasa YouTube naman po yan at nasa Facebook accounts naman ng Congress. Let's review yung mga nangyari sa hearings. In that way, we can all form a judgment that is well-informed. God bless the Filipino people. God bless the Philippines. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.